Bitcoin. It's the main thing to focus on at the moment, given the current charts. I'm going to get into that in a second, along with news, both FUD and positives. Before I do, as always, we'll get into the charts. I'm James at Copying My Crypto and Locking the Value, talking to you today about the wonderful world of crypto. As always, spreadsheets updated the first 26 coins I spoke about that I thought would crash. It's in the bull cycle. And they were doing. They still are technically. If you'd have invested $100 into each one, you'd be up 22 grand. I'm only in a few of these. The rest are compounded into coins that will do far greater runs in this bull cycle and as long-term investments. And they offer insane opportunities. If you want to get in on these opportunities, go on to Copy My Crypto and check it out. Right, guys. Bitcoin. So the charts at the moment aren't too bad. Yesterday was obviously a massive day. In terms of bullish momentum, we went from 32 to peaking out at around 37. And actually today it was breaking above 38 grand, which is great. Retracing somewhat, but we're closing higher lows on dailies, although it's hard not to after the 8th of June. That was a brutal day. Now the concern is, and shout out to Chris Monaco who commented in on YouTube, but he identified the fact that the volumes are low, and he is right. And that's an issue, guys. We've It's good seeing bullish momentum, but with such low volume, it's hard to think that there's going to be a swing into bullish momentum at the moment. Even with wonderful news that we keep hearing, and it's been constant for genuinely the last 3 days or 4 days of really positive news day after day after day after day, but the volume hasn't really been picking up. So without massive upswings in volume, it's hard to perceive that there's going to be a massive change from bearish to bullish. And we're still not above the 200-day moving average, and we're still leaning towards this sort of death cross position at the moment. But let's make no mistake, Bitcoin currently the price is higher than it was 3 days ago. So that's a positive. It needs to make sure today it needs to close higher, certainly higher than I would say 33, which I think is fairly guaranteed. Tomorrow, Fridays tend to be a fairly good example of what's going to happen across the weekend. The weekends relentlessly over the last couple of months have been really bearish. So we would want to see a really positive close on Bitcoin tomorrow to give some momentum towards the weekend. But right now, we're still in a bear trend. Still in a bear trend. We're not. We've seen the Wyckoff accumulation. Everyone's seen that. It's hard to avoid at this point. The Wyckoff distribution played out. The Wyckoff accumulation still looks like we've not quite hit the spring phase of the Wyckoff accumulation. If that happens, there should still be a fairly big dip before another run. So I'm still expecting some level of pullback in this crypto market in the short term. In the long term, I'm always bullish on crypto. So, two things. Obviously, the El Salvador news is mainstream. It's hit everywhere. But what's really positive is we're now seeing several countries making noises about the possibility of making Bitcoin mainstream within their financial systems. And which countries could be next? We've seen Paraguay having talks about it. We've seen Panama having talks about it. We've seen Mexico having talks about it. Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela's actually had cities that have been crypto based for a while. Latin American countries have been brutalized not just by COVID, but economically for a long while. So strengthening your economy with the store of value that is Bitcoin is very. It seems like a very, very sensible move in the long term and in the short term. Brazil and Nicaragua and Argentina and Malta all had discussions. Malta's the only one outside of Latin America, of Central and South America, that have actually discussed it as a Bitcoin being a legal tender. Not much has gone on beyond. There's been more discussions within Paraguay than most other places, but it's positive. Fundamentally, to make it into legal tender is to accept it. And whilst America and the UK may be late to the game in that regard, I think they will do that, or they'll certainly look at regulating. And while regulations might suck in many regards, it's also adoption because it's an acceptance of it as a system. But we've got to see how it plays out. But that is obviously bullish and positive news. The FUD on the other side has come from the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. Irony that these guys want to supervise crypto. The crypto market should not escape any of us. And they are regulators from the world's leading financial centers. And it's proposing a new conservative prudential treatment for crypto assets that would force banks to put aside enough capital to cover 100% of potential losses. That would be the highest capital requirement of any asset, which is basically identifying the volatility of the crypto market. Now, the statement that came out is FUD in and of itself. Crypto assets have been given rise to a range of concerns, including consumer protection, money laundering, terrorist financing, and carbon footprint. All of which, every single statement there are far greater problems within banking institutions, period. Terrorist financing almost exclusively actually occurs through banking. The carbon footprint on banks is greater than all of the crypto markets and all cryptocurrencies that are mined. If you combine all of the energy usage, banks still produce more energy, use more energy. Again, a nonsense statement. Money laundering, there is actually, I think, a 30th. If you look at the statements made 2 years or even a year ago, the reports that came out about, I think it was Binance in particular, like they were claiming across the crypto market $700 million were could be linked to money laundering. Whereas in the same year, there was a report out that across banks in America, not globally, in America, there was $2 trillion. They were saying across the banks globally, I think it was $2 trillion worth or $2 billion worth of money laundering. I can't remember which for the life of me. But excuse me. But money laundering is far greater a problem in banks. Consumer protection, I mean, mortgage crisis, anyone? It's just staggering. It's just staggering. All these points are such BS when compared to banks. But it's the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. So, ignore the issues the banks have and put them on someone else. So, yeah, this is a nice little FUD story. I mean, it's in the Guardian, to be fair, but so yeah, this is the situation that we are in. For every good story, there's always going to be a bad story, but that's a normal bull cycle. We saw this 4 years ago. We're seeing it now. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. We need higher closes on the short term. That's the main thing right now. And we need sooner or later, either Bitcoin to break the 200-day moving average, or we need to accept that the market is beginning more and more and more and more and more to look like it's bearish trajectory. And that can't be ignored. That is the reality. These things happen. And this is the normal element of a bull cycle. But in the long term, I think we all believe Bitcoin could be a 500,000 coin, million coin. We all believe Ethereum will be a 10, 20, 30,000 coin. And we all believe this will revolutionize the world. Blockchain technology is already doing that. I'm not fearful. I'm optimistic about everything. And I still think the charts still fairly well display the Wyckoff accumulation pattern. It's not going to play out exactly, but I think we're going to have another dip down to 20, 25 before a surge again. There's nothing. There's been no blow off top. And that's what's always happened in a bull market. There's been a blow off top before the bear market hits, and there hasn't been a blow off top. I just think Bitcoin accumulated too fast, too quick, and now there's manipulation at play. So now we accumulate and we get ready for surge number 2 or 3. Depends how you want to throw it. It depends how you want to define the surges. But yeah, so that's it. That's it. Just if you're getting stressed about the market, don't look at the charts too much. Take a step back. But I'm fairly positive. I think things are we're heading in the right direction. And as Bitcoin becomes legal tender, it can only be a good thing in terms of adoption, and that's what the market needs. Has to be adopted. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you're all keeping well. As always, if you're brand new to crypto, check out Copy My Crypto. Brilliant opportunity, and these coins that I hold are brilliant opportunities to be early investors or to find or to get great benefits. Anyway, that's it. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.